Hey guys, got a real shocker here. This is something totally different. No, it's a Seiko Monster. How many times have I talked about Seiko Monsters? Well, I'll give you a little bit of backstory on this guy first. First of all, my good friend Michael sent over, he's been sending over a bunch of watches, but this one here, for me personally, strikes a chord. For one, I've found pictures of this watch many times over the last few years because when I was monster heavy with my collection, I was dreaming of like different things to do with them, to be different from everybody else. And Michael nailed it with this build here. This is he calls this one the Light Fury. It's after a movie. But essentially he constructed something that I had actually dreamed about, and that's why I want to talk about it, because this white dial in the Seiko Monster case is awesome. I know they have the frost dial one, and that one's cool too, but the stark white dial like this with a good Seiko lume is just a killer combination, I think. It's a very stunning look, and it is certainly going to be a one-of-a-kind piece. So let's run down on some of the specs of this guy. Of course, you have it's a standard Monster case and everything. Like, there's nothing crazy there to the case itself. You can see the crown is different, and the bezel's different. We're going to talk about that, but let's focus in on the white dial first. Where that originated from is there was a limited edition, Thailand release of, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 different colorways. I think it was 5 different colorways of Seiko Monsters that had the 7S26 in it, and it was a black case, black bezel, and then they had different color dials. So they were SZEN series Monsters. The white one was SZEN006. So somehow he sourced the dial. Now, I think Monster Rob is this guy. He's over in the Netherlands. He's notorious for modding monsters, but other watches as well. And he had, I think, a pretty good stockpile of watch parts. So he was a good source. I don't know if he still is or not. I've never actually contacted him, but Michael had a few watch builds done by him. So anyway, he built it. So he sourced the dial, however he did it, and then placed it in, I believe maybe it's a Gen 2 case because it has a 4R36 movement in it. So maybe it was like an SRP 309 or something like that, or even a 307 or 309 or something with the white day-date wheel, even though this has a Roman. I'll show you that in a little bit too. But place this dial on there and then place the handset on there, which the handset is basically the same as the 309. So a little more yellowish to the lume on the handset than on mine, so I'm not really sure what those are from. Maybe those are from this actual, the SZEN006 too. I didn't clarify that with Michael, but so you got the Monster case, you got the 4R movement, so it is hack and hand wind, and then you have that stark white dial. Not only that though, I'll give it a pass on the no teeth on the indices because it's kind of slick having the minutes on there like right away. So it adds a little more element to the dial for sure. Now the bezel is like bead blasted. It's a little bit softer look to it. I'll zoom in so you can get a good look at that. It's really soft. And then it's all filled and painted in with the white around there. And then he actually painted lume in up at the triangle. And then, that mark, and then the 15. Now, the lume isn't going to be great on that, and I'll do a lume shot. The lume is not amazing on that, but it is there, and it is a nice little touch, especially since this thing was done like a little while ago. Now, this is I think the original Super Engineer, not the Super Engineer 2, so it has the more softer finish. I actually prefer this bracelet, especially on the Monsters. It's a little more soft and comfortable, and then it's fitted up with a standard Seiko clasp, so that's really nice and thin and works well with this watch and balancing it out. You can see there's the case back. So, I mean, it's it's still a traditional Monster. It's just elevated some. And all of this costs money to do. It does have a double domed AR coated sapphire crystal. There it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. I think this is an awesome summer watch with that white dial. I think that looks great. Oh man, Monsters feel so much at home on my wrist. This is also fitted with the Sumo crown, and it has the signed S on there. So really cool touches to make this thing stand apart from the norm. So let me close you out with a lume shot. Before I do that, I asked Michael how much he had into this. I was not surprised at the answer, and you probably shouldn't be either, because I've done breakdowns on SKX builds, and I'll actually do a breakdown on this one, which is pretty generic looking, I know, but this is basically almost no Seiko involved with this thing right here, and the price still adds up. So when you use different sourced Seiko parts, it certainly will add up. The price on this guy was $650 to create. And I think it was worth it. Like, as a Monster fan and a Monster, I don't want to say collector anymore, because I really just have that one and then that new generation one. But for guys that actually collect them and stuff like that, this is a really cool one to have. So $650 is really not that absurd when you're talking a new Monster. Could cost you, $450 to $550 anyway, and this one's definitely going to be unique. So big thanks to Michael for lending this in, and we're going to get a look at the lume, and then I'm going to sign off. So you can see a little bit of lume on the bezel itself. It shows up on the camera much better than the naked eye, I think. And then you can still see the lume pip even behind there too, so that's kind of a nice little touch. So, but classic Seiko lume even on the dial. So, all right guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.